There was just a little drama with yesterday's ladybug. I think she flew away home. It's a cold open today. We'll just see what we get. Interestingly enough, my ears are totally blocked. It's like I'm underwater, There are ways you can pop them, and when I get off camera, I'll do that. But it's like being at a high altitude, and the image I had before I sat down was of the mountain climbers rappelling the cliff, and they're tied together. Not always, but often they're linked. They have a little thing that they can release it, and the guy in front is, I'm not a mountain climber, but putting the thingy in so that, throwing it ahead. Anyway, it's a really interesting dynamic. It takes cooperation. The one in front is setting the thing, waiting for the other guy to crawl up, and the other guy, and I think that's the way to get up a mountain. That's what works. It can be metaphorically what we do with the people we're close to, and for good or ill. That's why I dropped it as an image. I said, I'm not starting a reading with that visual. The kind of sweet equivalent was the idea of the paper doll chain, where we're linked at every point. But if something happens over here, you better believe it's going to affect the guy over there, assuming they're linked up, they're linking hands. So there's something about that, and either holding on or letting go, or when do you release the thing that somebody goes into the abyss. Cheers. It's a beautiful day. I'm all in black. I don't know what's going on. Some kind of shadow work, some kind of... Oh, I'm supposed to shuffle this a few more times. I like this deck. I think it's Tarot of Dreams, not positive. Okay, we got this big clump. This happens occasionally. Hierophant on the bottom of the deck. Card of Taurus. Card of the teacher. Or the lesson, or both. I mean, who among us is not both the student and the teacher? That's almost like the paper doll chain, just in the sense that, it's what gets passed along down a lineage, or what are the life lessons that are imprinted on us when we're little, when we're learning. Card of 5 in the Major Arcana. And then it reveals on the bottom of the deck 6 of Cups. Card of, the past, of nostalgia, of memory, of, having your heart suddenly bring to the fore some relationship that's gone by. A bygone relationship. But it's, as the memory comes up for this person, I don't know if you can see, but there are little pieces of gold all around them. So it's really all around their head. And I think it's butterflies all around their head, caught in their hair. So there's some kind of updraft of feelings that were, okay, that used to be buried. You know, alligators are water critters, but this is buried in the ground. I think it's the memory. You know, I think it's I keep peeking at the bottom of the deck, so I might as well just go with it. Maybe looking back with regret or nostalgia, or I wish I could go back there to this memory of a connection. And it's still lighting her up in some way. It's not just memory. It's igniting, you know, synapses. I mean, it's a thing. Synapses in her brain, you know, one triggers the other, triggers the other. It's like a synaptic. This memory and she's looking to the past in a way, to these little people, little figures in her memory, to the past, but there's this card of the future right next to it. Fool card, you know, the beginning, the willingness to take the risk. And with all this underground energy, it's the year of the dragon, I don't know. It's a journey that might have begun a year ago, or that might take a year to fully reveal itself. And the scale is interesting. I mean, it's just this massive thing underground, and this tiny little character on top. I don't think this person quite knows the power of this relationship, and that when it comes up in their memory, every time they think about it, it's almost like it entices this person right to the edge of remembering it themselves. You know, it's almost like a dream that you can't quite get your hands on. This is the unconscious mind, this vast terrain of the dream, of the dreamscape. This is Major Arcana card. It's something unfolding in the psyche. In the psyche and in the memory. It's like the heart remembering. It's the heart imprint of some kind of connection. Yeah, and I'm not sure what the teaching is. Okay, just picked up the deck and this one was on the bottom. It just popped out. The World card. The teaching may be about how to close out a cycle, a major cycle in a psyche cycle. You know, in that deep place inside, deeper than we know. There's a need for some kind of resolution. How to close up a chapter. Maybe that's what we're learning. And that I got a whole wash of sadness with that. Maybe it's to close out a chapter with a soulmate. Because there's the book, right? There's the chapter. think we had this just the other day, but I mean, it is sort of cohesive. You know, our higher self is schooling our student self, the one who's willing to learn, who's attending, who's listening, who's quiet, listening to their higher power about a soulmate relationship. And we've got, I mean, it's interesting because there was that beginning in the Fool card, first card in the Major Arcana. That's the last card in the Major Arcana. It could be seen as like Fool card, the journey, World card, the destination, like the stopping place, before you begin again on the next journey, on the next phase, on the next lesson. Began it in good faith, saw it through, exacted the wisdom, learned the lesson for the next phase. And this is really cycling, alpha and omega, no beginning, no end. Because you get here and you circle back to the beginning. And it's different, you're not beginning in exactly the same place. Higher power has, allowed you to jump a timeline, something like that. You worked on it, you learned something, and you jumped a timeline. And I think somehow somebody's in a place where they're jumping back and feel like it's almost like a strobe light. I'm remembering it. I'm okay. And under Six of Cups we have Hangman. Card of Cups energy, water energy, emotion. So somebody's really trying to get a new perspective on this relationship. And part of the emotional query, what the heart is asking us, is can we see it from another perspective? We remember this thing. It almost like it starts down that old neuronal pathway. And then suddenly it takes a dive into in a new direction. Getting the lesson, completing the cycle, seeing it from a different perspective, I think not just as something we're done with. It's something that sets us on a new path. It's like a subtle difference, but... And I just got the image of buddy breathing. If you're underwater and say something happens and your tank runs out of water, the other guy's does, you share, the thingy, back and forth, you buddy breathe. Because you have to go slowly, too. You don't get the bends. Somebody's out of air, you buddy breathe. So you both go a little time without air, and then you get the breath. And this looks like somebody's submerged too. I often see this as like submerged in feelings, taking the deep dive into feelings, card of Pisces. Almost like a tea bag, And you have to come up for air. This is interesting. It's suddenly getting pretty cohesive. You have to come up for air. You have to buddy breathe. Maybe one of you, this doesn't have to be a lover, but it's a significant relationship that you've gone around many lifetimes with this person, learning something at every cycle. And this cycle is a biggie. All these major arcana: Hierophant, Fool, World card, Hangman. Wow. So, completed the cycle, going to graduate to the next round, a kind of spiral where you've learned something, both of you have learned something really important that allows you to close out. See, I mean, these guys often don't go away. They just come back again and again, lifetime after lifetime. Have we learned enough to really graduate? And one of you may be ahead of the other in terms of understanding the relationship and actually remembering the lessons of the past, that are somewhere imprinted in the psyche, like words on the page of this book of life. It's like an Akashic record thing. One of you can remember. So you're almost watching it play out in this incarnation. And I think one of you knows in this deep core higher power self place, within you, can remember that we've done this before. Crosby, Stills and Nash, Deja Vu, we've all been here before. And it's like, yeah, better believe it, that, because this is a card of deep belief and spiritual knowledge, spiritual lessons that we try to remember lifetime to lifetime. Because it's, when we start again at the beginning, we don't take everything with us. That's kind of the beauty of cycling through something, is that, we may have learned what to not leave behind really, but not try, Okay. I didn't want to take that card. I don't know why, but this is trying to work something out, trying to figure something out. Five in major arcana, Hierophant. Five in minor arcana, Five of Wands. Well, it's sort of trying to absorb the lesson, I think, to work it out, almost like 3D chess. Because here's the 3D chess, in a minor arcana card of the 3D daily life, working it out. And this is in the psyche, learning how, lifetime to lifetime, a little bit learning a little bit more and being able to approach it from a sorry, Rue really sometimes gets too close to the fire. The fire. I'm really sorry, she really distracts me. Oh, Lordy Massey. You know, this person is trying to puzzle something out. What's the next move? And it's a bit strategic, but it's taking the time. Taking the time. This is a timeout card, kind of. Something's suspended. There's no forward movement. You know, something wraps up, and for a while it seems like nothing's going anywhere. There's no momentum. There's no swing. There's no... But the time is not wasted because somebody's processing this enormous lesson. About how to attain some closure and then to decide what's the next step without feeling pressured to move before you're ready to move. That may be this other person, because I think you remember more than they do about the last life or the ramifications of what you went, like they are getting almost like a slight amnesia about how this real life, this lifetime relationship went down. It's like they can't quite remember it. They can't parse it, and that's what they're busy trying to do. And I think one of you may be tired of the stalemate. You know, maybe this lifetime we aren't going anywhere. This is stalemate. I get the feeling of, you know, when in chess, if you just give up, you flip the board. Five of Wands is usually a really chaotic Wands energy where everything's going in different directions. This looks so staid, but fives indicate a need for change. And if there's been a stalemate, I think somebody's ready to flip the board. In fire energy, flip the board, start from scratch. Fool energy. And it might be, you know, screw better luck next lifetime. But I don't think it's that. I think, though, there is a kind of instruction on the part of the one who doesn't remember, like, take the deep dive, unzip it. Get out of this suspension. Somebody's getting ready to flip the board. There's been a stalemate. Tell me about this stalemate, because okay. King of Wands on world card. Well, that's somebody who's marching forward, you know, on fire. But it's a little bit regimented, you know. You'd think of King of Wands, well, it's marching to the beat of their drum, but it's a bit for the Fire King, it seems a bit regimented. I mean, it's like they're on fire, but they're not going, I'm on fire. You know, they're marching in this very steady, forward, purposeful way. There's some kind of great stoicism there. Maybe they're methodically trying to make their moves, because Wands energy is all about movement. Here was a stalemate, no movement. Some cycle wraps up, and this person, perhaps a fire sign, is inspired to move forward. Suddenly I can move. But it's like a controlled burn. You know, where you set the fire kind of on purpose, and then you have your hoses and everything at the ready, so that you have a fire line that, you know, keeps the flames from just going everywhere. Controlled burn. Okay, on 5 of Wands, 9 of Pentacles. This would be, I mean, I'm seeing it here as a kind of a poker face person. I mean, this person certainly wouldn't rush to make a move. They're stable, they're steady. Sorry. They're invested in where they are. You know, they're not caught up in some kerfuffle about they're not in some stalemate, but they're not the one to break the stalemate, because they're staying still. See what I mean? That if two things are coming together and neither one is moving, 9 of Pentacles person isn't moving, doesn't feel the need to rewrite their identity because of, you know, some kind of shifting time of indecision, some kind of stalemate. There's an element in 9 of Pentacles. It's earth energy. Taurus, Capricorn. You know, it's a kind of steady as she goes energy. You know, this person gets in no flap. Meanwhile, you know, and he is walking away. She's staying put. She, he, they. There's something about the fruit in her hat that I just love. She's staying put. He may be the one flipping the table. He, she, they. This action person, this fire sign, who's on fire, maybe on fire with passion, but is saying, right, I know the ending when I see it. I'm walking away. I'm flipping the table. And she's very she's in no flap about that. Because nobody flips this person's table. You know, whatever game was going on, whatever strategy, she's not hot and bothered. This one is hot and bothered. Okay, on Hierophant, Ace of Wands. Again with the book, right next to the Hierophant, clarifying Hierophant, where there's that book, that lesson. In fire energy and Wands energy, there's the new beginning. You know, the new inspiration, the new insight. I think coming from their higher power, and it's like kind of lighting a fire underneath them. And, Ace of Wands, new beginning, new inspiration, new direction, being inspired by something they've learned that, their higher power is inspired to begin, Ace of Wands, to begin full in Wands energy. Maybe even to begin to get grounded, to learn how to get grounded, to learn how to take the lesson from higher power, to speak the language even, to begin to remember. I think one of the words for God, and I don't know from where, is the forgotten one. It's at our very core. It's the wisest part of ourselves. And yet, lifetime to lifetime, we're having to relearn, to get out the book again and sort of get the new direction or, some help. Where do I go now? Wands are directional. So this guy has a pretty good idea of what they need to do to close out a cycle and move forward. And right now, I think they're processing their feelings. Meanwhile, across town, across the world, across the table, is somebody who, has already done that deep dive. They've gone into their own memory, maybe even into some Akashic, some footprint in the cosmos that shows like the after image of this relationship. On Fool card, Lovers. Right next to the card of the soulmate. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not Lovers. It sure looks like Lovers. It's Ten of Cups. The 3D expression of that lover's energy. I think this lifetime, Pentacles, Wands speak to life force energy. This is the new life. This is this lifetime. Of all the times we've been around and around and around, gonna try again. To really submerge in it this time, to really take the deep dive. Oh, there is the Lover's card. I'll be damned. Thought I saw it somewhere. It was this image that I saw, but anyways. This is also a card of recognition. It's Gemini energy, sword energy. I see you, you see me. This time around, this lifetime, we both see it. We both see it. So, I'm curious though, why is King of Wands apparently walking away? Maybe having flipped the table. Three of Swords. Well, I think maybe principally this guy feels hurt and like somehow he got burned. Oh, there's a wonderful passenger song, "Oh Darling, My Heart's on Fire." Highly recommend it. There have been times in my life when I've listened to it around and around. Divine Masculine on the card, it doesn't matter. I can attest, as a feminine, I've felt this way. And actually had to march away, because it's... There's the heart, pierced through and through. Heart's on fire. I mean, this person is weeping blood. Okay, right. 3 of Swords, 3 of Wands. The pain. The future. I think its pain is in the past, looking toward the future in Wands energy. And they may be marching away. But intending to come back in the future? I think this person, this King of Wands, is processing his feelings, particularly pain, perhaps about, I don't know, it's the memory of pain. Some third-party situation they're remembering that isn't about this relationship. Or not in this lifetime. They may be remembering a past life. I mean, this is getting sort of woo-woo in terms of timeline. But remember I said something at the beginning about jumping timelines? I think I did. But there's an element of let me process that. Let me try to see it from a new perspective. I'm so passionate I'm running away. And I see this as kind of cooling it. Water energy, it softens it, it cools it, it cools the fire. It's feelings that are passionate, but that they don't light your ass on fire. Wands energy, looking to the future now, waiting with, this person expects things to get better, and 3 and 3 is 6 in Major Arcana is Lovers. Time for healing. Time to process feelings, because there were a lot of them. And they kind of... They seem to have accumulated over time or over lifetimes, like they got layered one upon the other. So there is a need to do this, to kind of peel the pages apart and start at the beginning. It's rereading the book, but in a it's as if it's from a completely fresh place. It's not really back. It's like a sequel. There's gonna be a sequel. Because these guys are always, 6 in Major Arcana, 6 in Minor Arcana. The old connection, the beyond time connection, the lifetime after lifetime connection. And, these are sequential. What higher power is teaching lifetime after lifetime about this relationship. opening the heart back up again. Perhaps not right away, because there's still a little bit more to process. Three of Wands, Hangman. On the board, we have Taurus in Hierophant, Gemini in the Lovers, Aries in the Fool, Capricorn in the World card, and Pisces in Hangman. 3 and 3 is 6. From the memory of pain to anticipating, with hope and optimism, that perhaps this lifetime, starting now, if we start now, because I have a feeling, there's not a whole lot of time to spare for these two. If we start now, we can actually get there this time, to this 10 of Cups place, in this lifetime. Okay. I'll see you next time. Timelines. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I just love y'all, and I'll see you next time.